Hi, I'm Mr. Crocker, and today I would like to talk to you guys about finding the area of a compound shape. So, just like a compound word, maybe butterfly or baseball, is two words smushed together, butterfly, baseball. A compound shape is two shapes that have been smushed together, right? You got two different rectangles there, tall, skinny rectangle and kind of a short, fat rectangle. And usually they're something that looks like an L or an Oklahoma. It's like a tilted, flipped Oklahoma. So those are compound shapes, two rectangles put together. And we can find the area of a compound shape by taking it apart. Okay, chop it into two rectangles, and then it's real easy to just do length times width, get the area of one, length times width, get the area of the other, put those two areas together. That's the area of a compound shape. Okay, so let's jump into this first example. We have an L shape here, and it is two rectangles. We need to cut it. We need to cut it and decide where one rectangle is going to stop, right? So I would cut this way, but you could cut it that way too. Either way is fine. You just have to know which way you're going to go. So this rectangle, this tall, skinny rectangle, okay, its sides are 10 and 2. Okay, that is a 10 by 2 rectangle. And don't get tricked and use these numbers, because this 6, that is for this whole side. And right now, when I'm just looking at this rectangle, I don't want this whole thing. I don't want this piece, right? I just want the skinny piece, which is 2. So if my rectangle is 10 by 2, 10 times 2, that's 20. The area of my big rectangle there is 20. Now, and I also didn't use this 8 because the 8 is talking about this piece, and I want the whole side. I don't want more than the side. I don't want less than the side. I want the whole side, just exactly the side. Okay, so now I'm looking at the second rectangle, right? Just like that. And I'm still not going to use this 6 because the 6 has this piece in it, and I don't really want that. I just want this rectangle, and it's 4 by 2, okay? So if it's a 4 by 2, then its area, 4 times 2, is 8. Okay, so I chopped it, I found the area of each piece, and now I'm going to put the two pieces together. 20 plus 8 equals 28. So the area of this compound shape, okay, the whole thing all together is 28. Okay, let's look at the next example. Okay, I've got a compound shape and I need to cut it. I'm gonna, oops, I'm gonna cut it here. Okay, so gonna look at this first rectangle. Okay, I need to figure out which numbers I want to use. Well, I want whole sides that only belong to this rectangle. So this 4, that's a whole side, and it only belongs to this shape. This 4 is just a piece. It's not a whole side, right? It's missing all of this, so I'm not going to use it. Okay, this 9, it's part of that rectangle and part of that rectangle. I don't want sides that belong to both rectangles. Okay, so I'm going to use the 4 and the 7. if it's a 4 by 7 rectangle, 4 times 7 equals 28. The area of that piece is 28. Now I'm going to look at this rectangle, right? I'm not going to use the 9 because that has a side that belongs to both rectangles. I'm not going to use this 4 because that's part of this rectangle, not this one. I'm going to use the 5 and the 3. It's a 5 by 3 rectangle. 5 times 3 is 15. So now 28 and 15, that's 13, 43. The area of this compound shape is 43. Okay, just break it into its parts, find the area of each part, add them together. Okay, last example. Here's another compound shape. I'm going to cut it like that. Just going to cut that little panhandle off. Okay, I have to decide which numbers I want to look at. I've got a 2, a 1, and this 8. The 8 talks about this side here, and this side belongs to both my little rectangle and my big rectangle. I don't want that. Okay. Now I'm also going to get rid of this 3 because it's talking about this piece, and it's not the whole way across this rectangle. It's not part of this rectangle. That 3 doesn't really help me. Okay, so this little piece has a side that's 1 and a side that's 2. 1 by 2 is 2. The area of that little rectangle is 2. Okay, now my bigger rectangle, okay, I'm going to use the 6 and the 4 because that's this whole side and this whole side. Like that's what I'm looking for. No parts and no sides that belong to both rectangles. 6 and 4. 6 times 4, 24. Okay, so my bigger rectangle has an area of 24. Add in the 2 from the smaller rectangle, and this whole compound shape has an area of 26. Okay, so to find the area of a compound shape, you cut it into smaller rectangles or squares, right? Cut it into pieces, and then find the area of each piece, and then add those areas together. Don't use sides that belong to both rectangles, and don't use the partial sides, okay?